Hey, it's the range, Ronan. And have you been looking for a small frame, 6-shot revolver that can handle the mighty .357 Magnum cartridge? No? Well then, this review won't interest you. However, if you are looking for a small frame, 6-shot revolver that can handle the mighty .357 Magnum cartridge, Rossi USA may have one, just for you. Rossi RP63.
The legendary Rossi revolver returns with a bang in 2023. The RP63 features Rossi's prized double-action trigger, and an unbelievably crisp single-action trigger pull. The RP63 is optimized for concealed carry, thanks to its 3-inch barrel and fixed sights. The front sight is ramped for a snag-free draw. Like all of the new Rossi revolvers, the firing pin is mounted directly to the hammer, giving the gun maximum reliability with all types of primers. The RP63 has 6 shots of .357 Magnum on tap in its steel cylinder. The full underlug barrel adds additional weight, which helps manage Magnum recoil. Further aiding recoil control and benefiting concealment is the round but grip frames. There are already a considerable number of accessories available for the RP63, as it fits common holsters and speed loaders for similar-sized medium-frame revolvers. But the Rossi RP63 isn't just about performance. It's about building a serious concealed carry and personal protection revolver for the real world. The steel frame, 3-inch barrel, and amazing trigger all combine to make this a revolver you won't just love to carry, you'll love to shoot it.
Well, that is what Rossi has to say about the RP63. Stay tuned to see what I have to say about it. While marketing hype provides some insight into a product, let's take a look at the specifications of the RP63 and then move into the features. Well, what can be said about a revolver that is somewhere in between a small frame and medium frame that weighs in at about 28 ounces loaded with .357 Magnum ammunition? There is actually plenty to be said about the Rossi RP63 that sets it apart from other small frame to medium frame .357 Magnum revolvers. So, let me get to it. First of all, its small size does belie the fact that it does, indeed, fire .357 Magnum ammunition, and of course, 38 Special and 38 Special Plus P. The matte stainless steel finish throughout the revolver is excellent. There are, of course, similarities between the Rossi and Taurus line of revolvers of this size. The Taurus Model 605 comes to mind with its .357 Magnum chambering, but I really need to let the Rossi RP63 stand on its own merits, and there are many. In the current Rossi line, the 6-inch barreled RP66 would be a close cousin, but the RP63 is intended for concealed carry with its 3-inch barrel that I feel, incidentally, is a very nice trade-off between a 2-inch snub-nose revolver and a 4-inch duty revolver. And speaking of that 3-inch stainless steel barrel, it is nicely formed at the muzzle end for smooth insertion into a holster. The front sight is a small ramp type that is pinned and can be replaced. The left side of the barrel is devoid of marking, while the serial number is the only marking found on the right side of the barrel. A full underlug protects the ejector rod and keeps it well within the barrel assembly until you need it not to. The bottom of the underlug, or barrel shroud as it is also referred to, you will find out just what caliber handgun you are working with, .357 Magnum. The rear sight is a type common to these small frame revolvers, a simple notch cut into the backstrap in which to locate the front sight, which can be a challenge against a dark target. Dropping down to the cylinder, 6 rounds of .357 Magnum can be loaded into each chamber, which does set this one apart from the Taurus Model 605 with its 5-shot cylinder. The cylinder locks up tightly with very little side play and virtually no end-to-end play. The RP63 locks in 3 places, at the rear, at the bottom with the locking lug, and at the crane with a spring-loaded locking lug. The cylinder of the RP63 is well secured within the frame. The cylinder to forcing cone gap, or flash gap, measured out at around 0.02 of an inch. Releasing the cylinder is by pressing the cylinder latch forward, not down and not back, or at the crane, as with Dan Wesson revolvers. Just below the cylinder latch, you will find Taurus Armas made in Brazil etched into the frame. Well, Taurus had to have credit placed somewhere. On the frame just below the cylinder, you will find the manufacturer, distributor, serial number, and model number. Just to the rear of the cylinder on the right side is the Rossi logo. In December of 1997, Brastek International LC was created as the exclusive importer of Rossi firearms into North America. Then, Rossi firearms were distributed by Inner Arms of Alexandria, Virginia. Bainbridge, Georgia is now the distribution point for Rossi firearms, with its classic rifles still manufactured in a plant in Brazil, and will continue operations there. Rossi is now manufactured under contract with Taurus. Anyway, moving on and downward to the trigger, we find a double-action, single-action trigger with an operational pull weight of 9 pounds of 13.6 ounces in double action, and a 1 pound, 2.8 ounces in single action. Of course, this is with a new trigger, and I expect some reduction in trigger pull weight as the revolver breaks in. While the trigger pull weight may seem heavy for both double and single action, the wide and smooth face of the trigger makes trigger pull weight seems lighter when shooting. As expected, there is no stacking in double action mode, and a staging point is very easy to find when you take the time to find it. Let's shift our focus to the hammer for just a bit. The hammer is a squared-off, nicely contoured unit that is highly textured for gripping with the thumb, for cocking and decocking of the revolver. Unlike revolvers with a transfer bar safety and internal firing pin in the frame, the firing pin is mounted on the hammer and can be replaced if necessary. Many folks like the hammer-mounted firing pin over an internal firing pin. The RP, rather than a transfer bar safety, has a hammer block safety that effectively blocks the hammer unless the trigger is pulled. And to quickly explain the difference between a transfer bar and a hammer block, consider that a transfer bar, by design and in name, transfers the energy generated from the hammer to the firing pin, indenting the primer and firing the cartridge in the chamber aligned with the barrel of a revolver. The transfer bar can only be in position to transfer the energy of the hammer to the firing pin if the trigger is fully depressed. A hammer block accomplishes the same thing but differently, and that the hammer block mechanically prevents the hammer from contacting the firing pin unless the trigger is fully pulled. One thing to note is that, unlike Taurus revolvers that have a key lock safety on the hammer of the RP63 is void of one. Thank you, Rossi. Let's roll the hammer back to the grip. I must admit that I like this round but mildly textured rubber grip. It fits into my hand rather nicely, and the finger grooves seem to capture the fingers that are not pulling the trigger pretty well. I can actually get 3 fingers on this grip. The grip is nicely cut away on the left side to accommodate loading and unloading, and should work well with a speed loader. 6-round speed strips work very well. The grip ends nicely just behind the trigger guard, which helps to get as high as a hold on the revolver as possible. I also like that the grip covers the backstrap rather than leaving it exposed. That helps to cushion the felt recoil from the .357 Magnum just a tad. The right side of the grip is nicely relieved to allow the trigger finger to find its way onto the trigger. The grip is held onto the RP63 with a single screw, and the Rossi logo adorns each side of the grip. I think that I have said all I need to say about the features, but may talk more during the range session with it. But for now, let's get to the maintenance part. As far as maintenance, I am just going to let you glimpse a portion of the user manual and follow along with my AI buddy. I am always happy when I can save my voice.
Your firearm may be cleaned and lubricated under normal conditions without any disassembly. For optimal performance, we recommend you clean and lubricate your firearm after every 200 rounds fired. At the same time, check for any loose screws or pins. Tighten the screws and press pins back in as needed. To keep a firearm safe and in good working condition, it must be kept clean and covered with a light film of good quality gun oil to prevent corrosion. The barrel bore should be cleaned and left free of debris. Follow these steps. 1. Remove excessive firing residue from the bore and chamber using a properly fitted brass brush, dipped in a gun cleaning solvent. Finish the bore cleaning process by running a dry cotton cloth patch through the bore to remove any remaining residue and solvent. 2. Clean the exterior of the firearm. Using a non-abrasive cleaning cloth, remove dust and residue from small crevices using a small brush. 3. Lubricate any moving parts with a drop of oil. 4. After cleaning, rub the revolver with a lightly oiled cloth. Please note that a firearm with laser should not be cleaned in a well or supersonic machine that submerges the firearm, as this can damage the laser system.
With maintenance under our belt, let's see how the Rossi RP63 and I can work together at the range. Bringing a brand new firearm to the range is always interesting, to say the least. Today, while not an exhaustive test, I'll run 3 types of ammunition: 38 Special plus P, and a handful of .357 Magnum, just to see how well the RP63 does with light and heavy loadings. For the most part, I don't expect any issues, except with the operator. So, let's see how we do. The Rossi RP63, being a small to medium frame revolver, should carry and conceal just fine with a suitable holster. For my carry needs, I have a Crossbreed Super Tuck IWB holster for the Ruger SP101, which also works for the 6-hour K6S and the Rossi RP63, among others. Then, there is the Falco A602 Timeless Pancake IWB leather holster with snaps for the Ruger SP101 and 6-hour K6S. That is also an extremely good holster for packing the Rossi RP63. The Alien Gear Cloak Tuck 3.0 IWB concealed carry holster for revolvers, specifically for the Ruger GP100, is also an excellent holster for the RP63, and provides me the means to set up for strong side or cross-draw carry, which has become my favorite carry these days. There are, of course, other holsters that will work for the Rossi RP63. These are just holsters that I have, for my needs, that just happen to work with several of my revolvers. Now, let's get to my final thoughts on the Rossi RP63. With a few small, medium, and large frame revolver reviews under my belt, a review regarding the Rossi RP63 might seem to be old hat to me by now. On the contrary, each revolver has a story to tell, and the Rossi RP63 just places me in the same revolver church, but in a different pew. Compared to the Taurus 856 Defender, the Rossi RP63 is the larger of the two, with the Taurus 856 Defender in the small frame class of revolvers, according to Taurus. But the Rossi RP63 is smaller than the Taurus Model 66, that according to Taurus is a medium frame revolver. It makes you wonder just where the Rossi RP63 falls in. Well, I guess that places it somewhere in the middle. The Rossi RP63 is a handy little revolver, given the fact that it can chamber 6 rounds of 38 Special plus P, and 357 Magnum. The Rossi RP63 is, in fact, more comparable in size to the ever-popular Ruger SP101, sans the 6-round cylinder versus the 5-round cylinder of the SP101. Also, there is a MSRP difference of around $414, given that the price tag of the Ruger SP101 with a 3-inch barrel is currently at $919 versus $461 of the Rossi RP63. For most, the decision is heavily weighted to the Rossi RP63 side for the cost of ownership. The Rossi RP63 feels good in the hand with this 3-inch barrel and handled well at the range. I will say that the Rossi RP63 does not have the trigger staging characteristics of the Ruger SP101 or Taurus 856 Defender, Model 66, or a good Smith & Wesson revolver for that matter. But if staging a trigger is not important to you, then the trigger of the Rossi RP63 will do just fine for self-defense or home defense needs. Overall, I am impressed with the Rossi RP63 and would recommend it, with one caveat. Use 38 Special for range practice and 38 Special plus P for carry. Forego the 357 Magnum unless you really want to punish your hand and the revolver with these high-pressure loads. Just because a revolver is 357 Magnum rated does not mean that 357 Magnum ammunition needs to be fired. Whether in a good hip holster, IWB or not, or in a good shoulder rig, the Rossi RP63 would be a viable companion to have with you in your time of need. I carried it for a day in a fanny pack with no issues. Well, I believe that I have come to the end of another chapter in the Range Ronin Chronicles. I hope that you found the review informative, maybe even informative enough to check out the Rossi line of our revolvers, the RP63 3-inch 357 Magnum, the RM66, a 6-inch barreled 357 Magnum, and from what I understand, a 4-inch barreled revolver may be coming soon, if not already by the time this review is published. As always, I hope that you return to the channel and walk this journey with me. Until we meet again, stay vigilant, stay armed, and stay safe out there.